This episode is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. The Grateful Dead and Dogfish Head have gotten the band back together with the release of Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale, a light-bodied pale ale brewed with sustainable Kernza grains, granola, and heaps of good karma for a refreshing brew that's music to your taste buds. Available nationwide. Visit dogfish.com to find Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale in your neck of the woods. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery is located in Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, my friends, it has been an amazing week, not just in Washington, D.C., but of course, news from around the nation, around the world. Welcome. This is your Saturday morning extravaganza, the Saturday morning vibe, and glad you are here. If you would like to give us a call this morning, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 848-9222. Bo Snerdley, James Golden here with you. So many things in the news, including not just the law enforcement takeover of Washington, D.C., which is proving to be astonishing in terms of results. On the political front, one of the biggest battles that is taking place, and this one could redefine the future of the Democrat Party. Of course, in Texas, the redistricting maps have been now complete in both the Texas Senate and the Texas House. It moves to Governor Abbott's desk, will become law. Liberals are outraged. In California, there is, of course, a reprisal. California legislators are quickly moving in secret behind closed doors. They won't even let reporters or other people, Republicans on the committees that are tasked with this, they won't even tell them who redrew the maps in California. They are headed for a November ballot to try to increase their numbers and further squeeze Republicans out of representation in the state of California. You have Justice Gorsuch. This has not gotten a lot of publicity, but Justice Gorsuch is apparently fed up with lower courts still deciding that they can rule their own way even after the Supreme Court makes a decision. I wonder what can, if anything, be done about that. Coming up on today's program, of course, delighted to be expecting to speak with Princess Diana. Looking forward to that. America's Small Caffeinated Mom will be along later in the program as well. Our own Lizzie Radabali will be here. Red Apple Media starlet. So she will be here. Some of the big things happening as well, you may or may not want to comment on. Cracker Barrel has been in the news for revamping the interior. There's an article today, big article by Robbie Starbuck. Americans are sick of having it's not by Robbie Starbuck, it's on Fox, it's about Robbie Starbuck's take on this. Americans are sick of having our culture and heritage stripped from us. This is all over after Cracker Barrel unveiled a new logo that eliminated the guy leaning over a barrel and changed their interior from the country. I've never eaten in a Cracker Barrel. I think I went to one once, and it was so crowded that I decided not to wait. I was really hungry, apparently. This is many, many years ago. It just never occurs to me to go to Cracker Barrel, and not that I have anything against it. But is this really our culture and heritage being stripped? Really? For better, for worse, a restaurant wants to change its image, wants to change its interiors, and we get all this because the restaurant wants to change their stores. If they fail, if it's another one of these, Bud Light wokeism deals, okay with me. If that's what they want to do to their own brand, I don't think the American culture is dependent on a restaurant chain happening to say, okay, we want to change the image. Okay, fine. Go ahead. If your customers don't like it, they'll let you know. Then, of course, the news, John Bolton this week. The raid on John Bolton's FBI raid on his house and his office, editorial board of the Wall Street Journal. This morning, Trump's vendetta campaign targets John Bolton. And I just find this curious because everything is always cast in the light of, it being something Trump, vendetta. There was an investigation into John Bolton that predated this term. It was begun either in the late, it happened in either the late part of Donald Trump's first term, or it began in the Biden term. It was shelved in the Biden term. That's what it was. So it began during the later part of Donald Trump's first term, and then the Biden administration shelved it. They didn't do anything with it. We have a new administration now. It was reopened. Yet the Wall Street Journal editorial says his revenge campaign took an ominous turn, speaking of Donald Trump, on Friday, as FBI agents raided the home and office of Mr. Trump's first-term national security advisor, John Bolton. They brought 2 broad warrants to search the premises. Agents showed up unannounced at his Bethesda, Maryland home at 7 a.m. Were they supposed to announce it? Were they supposed to say, hey, John, we're coming for a raid to your home. Just pencil it in, schedule it in for next week sometime. We'll be there next week to search your home. Is that the way it's supposed to work, editorial board? They came unannounced. Of course they came unannounced. They confiscated his wife Gretchen's phone because it was visible and not on her person. Mr. Bolton had already left for the office, which is where FBI agents greeted him. Kash Patel, the FBI director, sent out a cryptic tweet, a post. 7:03, no one's above the law, FBI agents on mission. He didn't specify whom he was referring to, but the timing was unlikely to have been coincidental. It's hard, says the Wall Street Journal, to see the raid as anything other than vindictive. Mr. Bolton fell out of Mr. Trump's favor in the first term, wrote a book about his experience in the White House while Mr. Trump was still president. Trump tried and failed to block publication. The president then claimed Mr. Bolton had exposed classified information, though the book had gone through extensive pre-pub scrub at the White House. The book investigation faded away under President Biden, but now it looks as if Mr. Patel is reviving it. Now, herein lies the issue. If there is no there, if Mr. Bolton did nothing wrong, then this FBI raid on the property will yield that there's a nothing here. There have been no charges. There have been no indictment. There hasn't been, at least at this stage. Mr. Trump made it clear he was out for blood against Mr. Bolton when he pulled the former advisor's protective detail after his reelection. Mr. Bolton wasn't alone in this. Trump made the determination, President Trump, that he pulled a lot of details back from people that could afford it themselves, was his rationale. May not like the rationale, but that's what the president can do. Joe Biden pulled back. Joe Biden, of course, vindictive, went through almost his whole first term trying to undo everything that Donald Trump did. You didn't see any headlines in the Wall Street Journal that I can recall. Maybe there were some. I don't recall seeing them. I don't recall seeing the panels on mainstream press talking about how vindictive and out for retribution Joe Biden was when he opened up the border. And he and Kamala Harris let over 11 million illegal immigrants into this country. That was never deemed as a vendetta against Trump or a vendetta against the American people, which is more like what it was. So it is, it's stunning to me to see all this attention on Donald Trump's so-called vindictive, the retribution. Look, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. If there is something there, then why should John Bolton or anybody else be excused? Because they were critics of Trump and, he shouldn't. No legal action should take place against anyone that criticized Trump if there's a legitimate reason for that action to take place? No. And there's another part to it, too. Some of these anti-Trumpers were involved, as you know. Some of the TDS Trumpers, like Letitia James and all that, had their vendetta. They had a vendetta against Donald Trump. It was acted upon. Now they're being called to account. And I'm not sorry they're being called to account. Again, let us see how justice works in this. If it is proven that they did something wrong, why shouldn't they pay the price for it? It's an old expression, a cliche. Turnabout is fair play. There's another one, instant karma. And even though this is not so instant, what do you expect? Do you expect one party to be able to pound to try to destroy Donald Trump's life, his family's life? They tried to throw this man in jail. They tried to strip him of everything that he's worked for his entire life. Do you think he's just supposed to come back and just smile at them? I don't think that's the case. So if now these people are being held to account for what they did, so be it. So be it.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, Snerdley, Saturday Morning Vibe. Okay, let's visit with Donald Trump very quickly. That would be cut 5, Kelvin, on the John Bolton raid. He was asked about it. This is what he had to say.
When I hired him, he served a good purpose because, as you know, he was one of the people that forced Bush to do the ridiculous bombings in the Middle East. Bolton, he wants to always kill people, and he's very bad at what he does. But he worked out great for me because every time he doesn't talk, he's like a very quiet person, except on television. If he could say something bad about Trump, he'll always do that. But he really doesn't talk. He's quiet. And I'd walk into a room with him with a foreign country, and the foreign country would give me everything because they said, oh, no, they're going to get blown up because John Bolton's there. He's not a smart guy, but he could be a very unpatriotic guy. I mean, we're going to find out. I know nothing about it. I just saw it this morning. They did a raid.
Do you expect the DOJ to brief you on this?
Yeah, they'll brief me, probably today sometime.
And the Foreign Minister...
I tell Pam and I tell the group, I don't want to know, but just you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel that it's better this way.
Foreign Minister Lavrov said...
You know, this is stunning in a way. I love what he said about Bolton. John Catsimatidis just sent me something that caught my eye really quickly. A Bronx firebug has thrown gasoline on police officers, lit up an old precinct on fire. It looks like it was a Molotov cocktail using a soda bottle or something. I tell you what, you have these crime issues, and we're going to get into the crime that is part of this push out of Washington, D.C. It is the reaction to this. Arnie Duncan, who screwed up American education under Barack Obama. Arnie Duncan has an article, has a guest essay today. It's either in, I'll have to check the Washington Post or the New York Times. And he has got his nose bent out of joint over the crime actually being finally brought under control in Washington, D.C. And it's just really strange to listen to the arguments that the left makes. Arnie Duncan's argument is pretty much that enforcing the law is going to be bad. Donald Trump enforcing the law is going to be bad. And he is one of these guys that runs some NGO type organization pumping money into revitalizing neighborhoods and all that stuff, which they say, and lowering the crime rate in Chicago, which I'm all for. Lower crime rates. But the idea that enforcing the law is bad, which seems to be the message from Arnie Duncan. So we'll get to that and so much more. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. Saturday Morning Vibe. 800-848-9222 is how you give us a call. 800-848-9222. Later on in the show, Princess Di, America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Lizzie Radabali, and you. So keep it right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I don't know that I agree with you. To be fair, with all due respect, one doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work, and that's not what he did. It was just stumbling around from one idea to another. Ultimately, he did unleash the rioters at the Capitol. As to that, there's no doubt. I think a lot of Republicans right now just wish Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and a number of other Trump nominees would just go away.
Well, sadly, Mr. Bolton, for you, they did not go away. They're here. Okay, we're going to wrap this John Bolton thing. I want to just get two more audio pieces in here for you to hear, because J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, was with Kirsten Welker of NBC News Claim. Meet the Depressed is her usual show, which is going to air tomorrow. I don't watch Meet the Depressed anymore. I just read about what happened. Sometimes go to the website, look at some of the clips. But I used to watch Meet the Depressed every week when Tim Russert was alive. When Tim Russert passed, that show started its spiral into, in my opinion, into the the cesspool. And I just don't watch it. Slay the Nation, Meet the Depressed, that new show with George Stephanopoulos. I mean, the idea that ABC hired a Clinton hack, and that's what he was, a Clinton hack, and put him as the face of ABC News has never sat well with me. I stopped watching that show even before I stopped watching Meet the Depressed and the others. Sunday shows used to be kind of almost like semi-religious activity for news junkies. You had to watch the Sunday shows because news would break every week. And then you had the old crew that used to do the Sunday news. That's back when, those of you that remember David Brinkley and all, those people passed to this generation of political hacks and pretty much open activists posing as journalists. I mean, some of us used to fuss with Tim Russert because he'd bring out these charts on the show. His big thing was these charts on Social Security. He'd bring them out. But Tim Russert was a stand-up guy. And ever since then, I tell you what, Meet the Depressed, not for me. Anyway, J.D. Vance was on with Kirsten Welker, and she asked him about the so-called retribution against poor old John Bolton. This is it.
As you know, Ambassador Bolton is a frequent critic of President Trump's. He's also on Kash Patel's enemies list. The administration has already revoked his security clearance, Secret Service protection. Is Ambassador Bolton being targeted because he's a critic of President Trump?
No, not at all. And in fact, if we were trying to do that, we would just throw out prosecutions willy-nilly like the Biden administration DOJ did, prosecutions that later got thrown out in court. If we bring a case, and of course we haven't done that yet, the Department of Justice has not done that yet, we are investigating Ambassador Bolton, but if they ultimately bring a case, it will be because they determine that he has broken the law. We're going to be careful about that. We're going to be deliberate about that because we don't think that we should throw people, even if they disagree with us politically, maybe especially if they disagree with us politically, you shouldn't throw people willy-nilly in prison. You should let the law drive these determinations, and that's what we're doing.
But you know, a lot of people have already looked at this and said this looks a lot like retribution. Is this retribution?
Well, who has said it looks a lot like retribution, Kristen? A lot of people who tried to throw Donald Trump in prison for completely fake charges that were later thrown out by multiple different courts. I suspect that if the media and the American people let this case actually unfold, if they let the investigation unfold as it's currently doing, they're going to find out that what we're doing is being very deliberate and being very driven by the national interest and by the law here, and that's as it should be.
Now, Jonathan Turley was on Fox. I think Jonathan Turley is just brilliant, by the way. And he kind of looked at this case with, or the raids, I should say, with Ambassador Bolton. And that's cut forward. Kelvin, Jonathan Turley had this to say, his take on what these raids are about.
It is intriguing here because these are long-standing allegations that the book indicated or referenced classified material that he may have acquired when he was in the administration. We're not clear as to what that is, but it would suggest that it could be national defense information. The reason that's important is that creates a heightened potential penalty. So you can have penalties that range from 5 to 20 years. 20 years tends to be the sentences for concealing information, obstructing justice. Simply having classified information can weigh in at about 10 years, and there are often multiple counts because each of those documents can be charged separately. So there is a strange history here. So you had these allegations coming out as early as the first Trump administration. Then there was an allegation that the Biden administration essentially scuttled a further look at this case, and now we have this new development. But we really don't know if there's something that has occurred most recently, whether they uncovered something that they believe is sort of evergreen, that this is still a viable criminal case. Yeah.
So anyway, I concluded by this, and we'll close the door for the moment unless you want to talk about it, 800-848-9222, with this John Bolton. We'll see what happens. I'm not so upset about it. I'm not upset at all. Let's see what happens. If he's done something that will result in him having to be held to account, then so be it. If he's done nothing and there's no there, then the FBI just conducted a raid. And they found nothing. Okay? In the story. So far. Now, I don't know whether we should just do this Ghislaine, whatever her name is, Ghislaine Maxwell thing. Let's just get it out of the way. I am so sick of this whole Epstein story. I have been. I didn't spend much time with it. Anyway, transcripts were released. You know, Todd Blanche did a 9-hour sit down with her. And the conspiracy theories on Epstein are never going to be satisfied. So, we just got through with Jonathan Turley on the Bolton thing. Let's return to Jonathan Turley and get his take on this Maxwell. That's cut 8. From there, we're going to just do these rapid fire, get it out of the way. From there, we're going to go to David Sprunt, who's with Fox News, and his take on the Maxwell transcript being released. And finally, what we'll do, and we'll close the door on Epstein, unless, of course, we'll close the door on Epstein. Should I say we'll just leave him hanging? No, I'm not going to make any hanging around references. But then we'll conclude our triple-decker sandwich here of Epstein with President Trump. So let's just go in order. Jonathan Turley, Fox News, David Sprunt, and then the President of the United States commenting on this whole Epstein thing.
Well, this is a terrible buzzkill for most of the media in this town. I think that anything short of a picture of Trump with the entire cast of the Rockettes would have been disappointing, given all of the media and speculation saying that he was a perfect gentleman, or I didn't see any even massages going on. It's not what many in this town had hoped for. There's been this narrative that Trump has engaged in everything from the Ukraine to cracking down on crime in D.C. as a distraction of what Maxwell was going to reveal.
Well, in just a few minutes, Martha, we've been looking through this, and we can tell you the top line here is that there's no client list, according to Ghislaine Maxwell, and there are no high-powered individuals that were on any sort of list. She did not incriminate anybody in that 9-hour interview that she did with the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. She said right here, quote, "There is no list." We'll start with that. The genesis of that story I can actually trace for you is from its absolute inception, if that is what you're interested in. That's part of the DOJ transcript.
The Justice Department is also sending some of the Epstein files over to the House Oversight Committee today. Are you in support of them releasing all of them?
Keeping it open.
If they wanted to release,
people shouldn't be hurt, but I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. You got a lot of people that it could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be people, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach. I don't know anything about that, but I have said to Pam and everybody else, give them everything you can give them, because it's a Democrat hoax. It's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax. So we had the greatest 6 months, 7 months in the history of the presidency. And the Democrats don't know what to do, so they keep bringing up that stuff. But it affected them. Bill Clinton was on his plane and went to the island supposedly 28 times. I don't want to bring that up, frankly. You have Larry, whatever his name is, Summers, the head of Harvard, who was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. Nobody ever talks about that. But I don't want to hurt Larry Summers, but he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. No, this is Democratic hoax to try and get the significance of what we've done over the past 7 months. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They say it's #1 in history. What we've done, including stopping 7 wars. I mean, just include that.
Hey, Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 28 times and went down to that pedophile island. But I don't want to bring that up. Yeah, Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary, got it headed Harvard. Larry Summers was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. I don't want to hurt Larry. I'm not going to bring that up. But he was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, head of Harvard University. At one time. But I'm not gonna bring that up. Jeez. Well, we're busy doing other things. You people want to talk about Epstein? Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 28 times visited the island. I don't want to bring that up. Gotta love him. Gotta love it. Okay, so there's the Epstein box checked. I have not been interested in this whole Epstein story for a long time. Yes, was he all of that? Yes. Underage girls? Yes. Was it a suicide? Was it murder? I don't know. Wasn't there. Were the videotapes supposedly of the show doctored? I don't know. I don't care. Epstein's not high on my list. He's deaded. And now, will there be incriminating stuff that comes out? Perhaps. Let it come out. He's deaded. Moving on. Oh, we didn't even talk about this in the opening line. Hey, Kelvin, have you heard about this whole business with what's going on with the Smithsonian and with Trump and all this stuff, and slavery, of course, gets thrown into everything, and slavery, and oh no, Trump wants to wipe out slavery from the mind, the consciousness of America as if it never happened, and we're not supposed, they're having a cow over that too. You heard anything about that?
Yeah, I heard about it.
What do you think?
I think it's interesting. I'll say that.
What are you, turning into some kind of freaking liberal here? That's a non-answer. I think it's interesting. What the hell does that mean?
What's in the basement of the Smithsonian?
I don't know. I haven't been in the basement of the Smithsonian, and I'm not going to the base. You know, the only time I went to the Air and Space Museum and walked around there, saw John Glenn's little capsule. It's amazing how small that thing is. was the first capsule that took Americans up in space. But then I have friends that went to the American Slavery, well, the African American, I call it the American Slavery Museum, for lack of a better word, and they were blown away, and they're saying how great it is and how everything else. And one of them texted me this week with this thing about Trump saying slavery, there's too much emphasis on the bad parts of slavery and all of that stuff. And how did you take that?
It's a part of American history. I don't think we should forget it, but it's not the focus.
Do you think we're ever in danger of forgetting it?
Sometimes maybe, yeah. It's possible.
Really? How is it possible to forget slavery when all you hear? I'm asking. I'm not challenging you in a bad way. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm asking you a question. How do you forget it? It is so ingrained in every discussion. Here's what I think, and just tell me whether you think that this could be possible.
Sure.
One of the things that Trump said, and the way that I'm reading in this, he's saying, look, slavery is a part of our history. Yes. Mm-hmm. But right now, America has done so much beneficial good in the world that our focus as a nation should not always be America the bad. We should talk about America the good. If it were not for, by the way, if it were not for those slave-holding founding fathers, so many people around the world would not be free, because what they did, in spite of their own limitations, both moral and legal, at the beginning of this country was put in place a country that had a mechanism for self-change. So we changed the country because of that. It took a civil war, by the way. I'm not ignoring that. So, but America is so much more than that. America changed the course of the entire world. This concept of self-governing came at an era where the world was ruled by feudalistic monarchies. The idea of self-government was new, and it spread like wildfire, and is still spreading throughout the world. What is more important, to acknowledge the sins of the nation, but also to teach the goodness of the country? Do you think that that's unreasonable?
No, not at all. I think you have to tell both sides of the story, and that has to happen. If you want, if I don't really trying to gather my thoughts here, because I don't want to say quote unquote the wrong thing.
Why not? We like when people say the wrong thing. Sometimes.
And from my observation, it's part of the country's history, and it's not to be forgotten. And I understand where people say, "Oh, you just have to move forward and, quote unquote, forget about it."
How we don't have to forget about it. No, I've never met anyone that said we should forget about it.
I mean, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I see it a lot on X, honestly, where just people say, "Yeah, I do." Where they say, "Oh, people need to get over it. It already happened." Yeah, it did happen. It's a bad thing, and it's part of the nation's history. And I just think we just have to acknowledge it and just.
But does that define what the American experience is? Is what I'm asking.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't define what the American experience is. No, it does not.
Okay.
But it's part of the history of America, which is fine.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And part of the history of America, too, is how within a very short period of time, if you look on a historical scale, we corrected the original sins of this country, and how people were able to advance because of the mechanisms put in place as this nation. For instance, capitalism, the idea that there is an evolving chance for people to participate in the American dream, and it has been evolving. So, yeah, we got to take a break. You can weigh in on this too, folks. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. James Golden, Saturday morning. We'll be right back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is James Golden is here. Our number duo underway. Welcome. If you're on hold, please stay on hold. We'll have someone with the phones as soon as we possibly can. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Coming up later on in the program, Princess Diana will join us. Looking forward to that. America's Small Caffeinated Mom will join us as well. And your calls, hopefully, as soon as we can. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Right now, she is in the house. Who am I talking about? Well, she is the advocate for working men and women all over America, especially in the younger generation. She is the voice of her generation. She is Red Apple Media's star anchorette. Our very own Lizzie Radabali is in the house. Good morning, Lizzie.
Oh, good morning, Bo. Good morning. Truth to power, always speaking it. You know it. How you doing?
Truth to power. I wish I could find the person that invented that phrase. Truth to power. Yes, Lizzie, truth to power. Shrek to power, actually. Lizzie. Yeah. Have you gone on this new dating site, Shrekking?
Well, so this is actually, this is kind of a term. This isn't an app like the T app. We talked about the T app a few weeks back. That's app that just kind of gives a background check on different guys, different people in the dating field.
Yeah. Your background check.
Yeah, the Shrekking. Now, Shrekking is a phenomenon. This is just something that people have been noticing within their dating field. And now it's a new term. Of course, it got coined on TikTok. That's where all the new lingo is coming from nowadays.
TikTok is just part of the whole. The influence of TikTok is amazing.
It really
and by
is.
the way, the president put off again making a decision on. They're letting it go, making a decision whether TikTok has to sell to an American owner instead of the current Chicoms that own the thing. So that's still hanging in the background out there. What's going to happen with TikTok?
I don't think they're ever going to sell. I don't think they're ever going to sell or actually be able to force a sale. Like, I don't see it happening. They've postponed it so many times. And Trump himself, on the campaign trail, he credited TikTok as a big win for him with Gen Z. So I don't know, even if it's whatever, owned by the Chinese Communist Party, it's good for Trump. So why would he not keep that around? I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Okay, so what is Shrekking?
Shrekking. Now, this is a term. This is not a new phenomenon by any means. It's just a new phrase for it. So those who have not seen the incredible feature film Shrek, a winner of the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. I just want to point that out. This is a prestigious film, Shrek. It's about an ogre who falls in love with a princess, and they live happily ever after because the princess herself has a secret. She was cursed by a witch, and she was an ogre too. So Shrekking, this term, though, in the dating field, describes people who date someone you're not really attracted to in the hopes that they might treat you better in return for you settling.
Okay, wait a minute. So this is pretty much this is the equivalent of finding the, how do I put this nicely? I can't.
Finding the girl with glasses and a ponytail in the 90s.
But girls with glasses and ponytails can be very hot. Okay, that can be a hottie.
But in the 90s movies, that you were a pariah. You were a pariah if you were a girl and you dared hide your hair back and had a visual aid. You were just ugly, hideous. So that is, but if that is kind of what these people, Shrekking is a phenomenon of going for that, low key, more, maybe not a stunning person as your partner, and you hope that they
so
treat
you
better.
settle for less in the looks department in the hopes that they're going to treat you right.
Yes, and no, so settling, like, that is long been a phenomenon in dating. Of course, people who kind of they analyze their own looks and they consider themselves a 10 or whatever, and then they date like a 5, and then they think like, oh my gosh, I'm the best person in the world. And something that they say in this article about Shrekking is that, it could backfire if people, if you Shrek down, if you settle with someone who you find less attractive, you could still end up getting dumped by this person that you thought was like, below you. So I think, though, that settlers who get dumped like that deserve it. I think that if you're dating someone who you think is less attractive than you, like on the hopes of earning more brownie points because of your attractiveness, and think that they're going to like kiss the ground you walk on, I think those people deserve to get their heart broken and a rude awakening, honestly.
Wow. Okay.
But I just
so Shrekking.
Yeah,
the new
Shrekking.
phenomena in dating is Shrekking.
Yeah, it's not a new phenomenon, but new words. And I love how we have these new words more and more to describe these feelings that it's just a feeling that's been around, or a phenomenon that's been around, but it's new to the generation. So we have to put our own spin on it.
I love this story you sent me, Lizzie, about the vegan firefighter and his first blaze.
I knew you would.
Well, I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian since I was a kid. So, I mean, but this vegan firefighter, tell us about this guy.
Yeah, so this happened out in the Doolittle Rural Fire Protection Unit. That's a small town of Doolittle. This happened on Monday in Missouri. This past Monday. So
Doolittle, Missouri.
Doolittle Rural Fire Department. Their first vegan recruit, Jenna Ulrich. She actually, her dad is also a firefighter with the same department. And she was sent out to this huge tractor trailer fire on the interstate. And 40,000 pounds of ribeye steaks were burning. So she said, like, nothing like this. You're vegan, first day on the job, and you have to hose down a bunch of steaks. So,
40,000 pounds of ribeye steak.
Yeah, and the department said that the steaks...
Were they very well done?
Yeah, I was going to say, the steaks, they said, were a total loss. But I say, not unless you like it extremely super well done. I'm sure there are some people out there, some freaks out there who like a little crispy, burnt to a crisp steak. So, I mean... Total loss, subjective, but it was just very ironic headline that the first vegan recruit at this fire department, and kudos to her for sticking vegan in Missouri. I figure there's probably a lot of tempting Kansas City barbecue around you. That's got to be hard.
Okay, now we've got, moving on, a grown man in Connecticut, 40-year-old grown man, had quite the ordeal.
So this
grown man, grown 40-year-old man, and what was his plight, Lizzie?
Well, so 2 words came to my mind when I see this headline, and those 2 words are too grown. This man is too grown. You said 40 years old. He got stuck in a tube slide at a children's playground. This happened. A 40-year-old man.
Why?
Why? I'm begging to know. So actually, this man, 40-year-old man, has not been identified, not been publicly identified. And I'm just going to go out and say right now, let's ID this man. I'm going to call to action. We need to get a name on this guy. We need to get boots on the ground. Someone needs to interview him and say, what the heck? What were you doing? Why did you get in the slide? And apparently he got stuck in like the middle part of it. So firefighters, they've been busy this week, hosing down steaks, sawing people out of slides. They were able to, after 30 minutes, this whole ordeal took 30 minutes. Can you imagine being trapped in a hot plastic tube? And
why?
Drilling around your skull. And yeah, once again, it's so because we don't have any, ID on this guy. There's no local news reporters over in Vernon, Connecticut, felt the need to talk to him. I don't know why, because that would be my gut instinct as a reporter. I'd say, what were you thinking? What were you doing? If he was just like, playing with his kids. I mean, it happened around 4:30 on Saturday. So in the middle of the afternoon, could have been with his kids, but he also what? Like, why did he go down the slide? How do you as a grown man, not look at that, gauge that, and say, oh, maybe I'm too big for this?
Maybe it's for children.
Maybe it's
not for
children.
adults playing like this. Anyway, Lizzie, I have something I've got I want you to listen to, and I want your honest reaction from what you're hearing. This is from social media, your world of social media. And I'll tell you after what my reaction was, but I want you to hear this and just see, and I want to get your honest reaction to this. So, Kelvin, please, here we go.
Else to tell me that they're living paycheck to paycheck and putting themselves into credit card debt out of necessity, not because of fun. I am 28 years old. I work a decent paying job. I love my job. I make good income. We have no kids, me and my fiance, and we're still barely scraping by. Our bills are paid, but we can't save any money. We can't go on vacation. I mean, we do little things here and there, but realistically, we don't really do anything. And we still live paycheck to paycheck, okay? I don't understand how people with kids are doing this. Props to y'all. I mean, seriously, the utmost respect, because I feel like I'm drowning and I only have cats. Any money that we're able to save ends up getting spent on the car, or the cat has to go to the vet, or one of us has a medical emergency. It's just gone. It's gone. I don't understand. We don't live beyond our means. Are we all just collectively putting ourselves into debt? Because I don't know what else to do.
Lizzie, what's your take on
that? Yes. The answer to that question is yes. If you look at the personal debt, the individual personal debt accumulation has gone up dramatically in the past 20 years. Like, the average amount of debt that a single individual carries, it's not even comparable to 2 decades ago. Like I said, it's skyrocketed. It's student loans is a big part of it. Like, obviously, that is a huge bubble that any day now that bubble is going to pop, and we're going to be really paying for it. But also, come September, I do want to point out that buy now, pay later apps, like those are the Klarnas, the whatever. I don't even remember some of the other names. Klarna's the big one. Those buy now, pay later apps are going to start coming up. They're going to be counted on credit reports come September. And oof, the writing is going to be on the wall there. I think it's going to be a really. I'm excited to see the numbers, obviously, because it's a great news story. But I am also very hesitant as a person, as a consumer, as a human, as an American. I'm a little worried.
Okay. Now, of course, I have a different take on this than yours. No, and it's not an unsympathetic take. I mean, I understand what she's saying, and I sympathize with it. But my response, Lizzie, is this is your 20s. This is what happens in your 20s. You're at the beginning of your work career. You're not at the end of it. You're not at the middle of it. You're at the beginning. And at the beginning of your work career, it's a struggle. And this is why you advance. This is why everything it's not instant. Life isn't instant gratification as much as we want it to be. Yeah, in the beginning, it's a struggle. And then you work your way, and by the time you've worked 10 years, you start advancing, you start making, success in your career if you want it. Then things start to happen, and then you have a whole nother level of debt to deal with. But anyway, it's normal. This is a normal cycle in the working world, is my take on it. But I'm not unsympathetic to what she's saying.
Yeah, I did. And the fact, she is in her 20s, like you said, but she is near the end of it. She's 28 years old. So, and she said she has a good paying job. So, outlook, as a 20-year-old in the middle of it, it's horrible. And this idea that it gets better, I'm not really that hopeful. But, I keep on chugging.
Yes, we keep on chugging. Lizzie, thank you so much as always.
Thank you so much, Bo. Always a pleasure.
Lizzie Radabali, folks. James Golden, Snerdley, Saturday Morning Vibe. Keep it right here. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Talk about Shrekking. This is how long this has been going on. A birthday tomorrow for Jimmy Soul, the American vocalist. This was his big hit. 1963. And you want to be happy? Make a not pretty woman your wife. I don't believe that. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. Are you kidding? James Golden and Snerdley are with you here. Let us head to the telephone, shall we? Been asking for calls. Calls are here. Ronnie in California is giving us a buzz. Good morning, Ronnie. How are you?
I am so fine. How are you, Bo?
I bet you are so fine. I'm good. What's on your mind this morning, Ronnie?
Okay. You know, I never believed that Trump was seriously implicated in that Epstein matter. Now, do you remember Ken Starr?
Of course. Of course, who later went on to become the Dean of Law at Pepperdine after they tried to destroy his life with the Clinton scandal, with the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Yeah.
Right. Now, you remember he had free reign to turn over every rock, every avenue to find anything that would implicate Bill Clinton. But he was already guilty in that sense. But, you know, to just beef up the matter. Now, don't you think Jack Smith would have come forth with that same information if Trump had a serious involvement with Epstein?
Look, first of all, it is known that for whatever reason it was, and I heard that it was for some reasons that Epstein was acting improperly at Mar-a-Lago. It's really known that at one point, Trump just said, hey, no to Epstein. You're done with me anyway. Right. And so and Donald Trump has been very, very careful. You know, all these scandals over the years, they've all turned out to be dead wrong. The Democrats have had a pattern of fabricating evidence, weaponizing things to try to bring Trump down. And it is all unraveling. This Epstein thing, that's why I never paid too much attention to that angle of the story in the first place. And he calls it a Democrat Party hoax. Yep, that sounds pretty consistent with the way the Democrats have operated against Donald Trump to me. How about you?
Well, you know, I wish he would not refer to it as a hoax. I really wish he would refer to it as a distraction, because a hoax to me just makes it not take seriously the girls, the victims in the matter. If you've ever been a victim of, you know, sexual abuse or anything like that, that demeans it. So I just wish he would just say it's a distraction. And that's my only thing with it. But I just didn't ever believe that he was involved.
Well, okay, we have to go. Ronnie, so good to hear from you. James Golden here with you. Thank you, Ronnie. We have so much more to do on the program today. More of your calls coming up at 800-848-9222. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere.
At Abacus Global Management, we're reshaping financial planning around the most personal data point, your lifespan. But it's more than just insight, it's control. As a technology-driven asset manager, we're empowering investors with an integrated system to take command of your time, your future, your financial destiny. This is a new era of investing. Take control at abacusgm.com.
Roger Stone here for Colonial Metals Group. Ask yourself, is your retirement protected? Gold is the one asset that surged through every war and economic shock. So call 800-747-6589. That's 800-747-6589. Or visit freegoldguide.com/stone to claim your free 2025 gold guide. You'll learn how to protect your IRA or your 401k and could qualify for up to $7,500 in free silver. That's freegoldguide.com/stone.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines. Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
On Protecting Your Future each week, the first thing I always look at is, okay, what's happening in the metals market? And because our sponsor of this is one of the best metal companies in the world. So I looked this week, but that's not all we talk about, obviously. Other things. So I started looking, and yesterday, before Jerome Powell, the head of the fair, spoke, here's a headline: gold prices drop ahead of Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole speech. Experts highlight key MCX levels to watch. So you had that. Now, after the speech, here's the headline. Jerome Powell, by the way, in his speech, gave what some people are viewing as an opening to the idea that interest rates might finally be cut. As you all know, this is a long battle that he's having with Donald Trump. He's refusing to lower the interest rates, even though members of his own Federal Reserve did not vote with that in the last meeting, which was highly unusual. 2 members. Anyways, after he spoke, here is the article from Kitco News. Gold prices have jumped sharply higher as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell appears to be laying the groundwork for a potential rate cut next month. Powell walked a fine neutral line in his much-anticipated speech at this year's Federal Reserve Central Bank Symposium. He noted rising inflation risk and slowing economic growth. However, he also said that despite balanced risk, a shift in U.S. monetary policy might be needed. In the near term, risk to inflation are tilted to the upside. Risk to employment to the downside. It's a challenging situation. When our goals are intentional like this, our framework calls for us to balance both sides of our dual mandate. And so it appears that an interest rate cut may be coming. Also look at the cryptocurrency markets. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, sunk to $115,000. Want to buy a Bitcoin? Go buy one for $115,000. After $115,000 for a Bitcoin, for a virtual coin. After hitting its newest record, as macro concerns spark a liquidation waves, the crypto market tumbled to begin the week. Heightened macro concerns triggered more than $500 million in forced sellings of long positions. So Bitcoin is hovering around the flat line for August, but while Ether is still up, I guess that would be Ether. Well, up by 15%, and adding to investor disappointment were comments from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He clarified on Thursday, and this is really, for those in the crypto world, you understand the impact of this. President Donald Trump, this is established back in March, the Strategic Digital Currency Reserve. And what Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, said is that that's going to be confined to Bitcoin that has been forfeited to the federal government as it explores budget-neutral pathways to acquire more Bitcoins. So that came as something of a disappointment in the crypto markets. Also, earnings are starting to come in. So, guess which stock went up a lot? Zoom went up. NVIDIA is still doing well. There's another discounter that had been doing pretty bad. Well, not bad. I don't want to say that. That's not accurate. But they're doing better, and that's Ross. The discounters, with all that, people apparently looking for great, they always look for discount deals, but it's heightened. And also BJ's. Get your mind out of the gutter. BJ's. Wholesale club stock fell. Fuel prices. Now, fuel prices have been decreasing. So, but overall comparable club sales decreased over at BJ's by 0.3%. And so, I don't know. It's that when their stock fell, but it doesn't look like they're doing badly at all. So, protecting your future, just take a look around. I've been talking about these two areas especially. The gold and silver, precious metals, Bitcoin. What I want to find out, and we had a talk last week, very quick talk with Tom Bond, and I want to get him back soon, cousin of James Bond, to talk about some of these other investment vehicles that are available for people. And also, what a rate cut would do to the economy. My take, I'm not an economist, I'm not a financial planner, none of that. But my take is as soon as there's a rate cut, we are poised to explode. Explode. And the economy is going to explode with that. So, I will Have more on that coming in future episodes of this Protect Your Future. If you are in crypto, I have so many people that claim to be experts in crypto, and they're telling me what the market's going to be like, I want to check in with them and just see whether this latest downturn in the crypto market is what they predicted. Before we leave, let me just mention something to you. If you're looking for a good time, want to come to Manhattan, coming Friday, September 5th, it's the Red Apple Audio Network's Gala in Midtown Manhattan. And this is a celebration kicking off the 250th anniversary of America. Special performances include Lee Greenwood. Lovely. Met him on so many times. He's such a great guy. Christopher Macchio. Tony Orlando, who's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. He and I had a great talk. You know, Tony Orlando, aside from, everybody knows Tony Orlando's history as a performer, the success he had, Tony Orlando and Dawn and all that. But what a lot of people don't know is his background as a music industry executive. And he is a phenomenal force in the music industry. Cousin Brucey, legendary Cousin Brucey's going to be there. Joe Piscopo, Vinnie Maduno, all going to be there. Tickets are available. Limited amount of tickets available. If you want one, go to Red Apple, or 2 or 3 or 4. Go to redappleaudionetworks.com. Click the Gala button on the top right. It's September 5th, Midtown Manhattan, New York, the Red Apple Audio Networks Gala. Tickets, you go to redappleaudionetworks.com, click the Gala button at the top right. Again, that is Red Apple Media, Red Apple Audio Networks, redappleaudionetworks.com, and you click the Gala button, go grab your tickets. So, with that said, I want to grab a few other sound bites that we have coming up a little bit later. Princess Diana, coming up later, America's Small Caffeinated Mom. We just got through talking about some of the business things. You know, Gavin Newsom has been attacking Bed Bath & Beyond too. They're not wanting to do business in California. Part of it deals with the price of doing business. And of course, while Gavin Newsom's posing this anti-Trump thing, running around trying to rig elections, the chairman, the CEO of the new Bed Bath & Beyond, not, of course, as an online, they're an online entity now, not the retailer in brick and mortar stores. They went out of business with that. But he's talking about the attacks that he's been getting from Gavin Newsom. That's cut 40, Kelvin. And let's just check in with that for a quick moment. And then I want to turn attention to what's going on in Texas and some other matters. So, Bed Bath & Beyond chairman on Fox News. We are searching for it. Cut 40. And you know what? Never mind. Let's just move on. You got it?
Well, I think the thing that was really surprising to me is that I tried to articulate in a non-aggressive way exactly why our company wasn't going to reinvest capital in California. And what I found out this afternoon is that Governor Newsom has enough time to respond to a tweet as opposed to a private DM or having somebody reach out to remind everybody in America that in 2023, before we bought the intellectual property, that the company went out of business. We all know that Bed Bath went out of business a few years ago. Now we're trying to make a comeback, and I would think that a governor would want to attract investment, attract capital into the state. In fact, he did the opposite. He rejected it. It's a very simple model for me. As a capitalist myself, I want to do business in all 50 states, and I want to do business with all people of all political parties. That's part of being a capitalist. But what I don't want to do is put my shareholders, my employees, and myself in a situation where we're regulated to a zero. And we don't want to spend $100 million coming into California and then find out that the state's going to take it all and waste it all.
Which is what they do. So now we've heard from that CEO. Let's move on and catch up with some other CEOs. I mentioned earlier this business that's going on with Cracker Barrel, Robbie Starbuck. Big Fox article today on how old Robbie Starbuck is out there just annoyed like so many other New Yorkers. Cracker Barrel, backlash. Americans sick of having our culture and heritage stripped from us. Really? All this over Cracker Barrel. I acknowledge I don't eat at Cracker Barrel. Haven't never had a meal at Cracker Barrel, so I don't get what all the stuff is. Their CEO, Cracker Barrel, Julie Masino, was on with Michael Strayhorn, and we have another cut from her, and the Strayhorn is at the back end of that one. Here's the CEO, cut 14 of Cracker Barrel, Julie Masino, talking about the changes at their restaurant chain.
It's all about evolution with intentionality. While maintaining that country hospitality and charm that we're known for, we're just looking at ways to freshen up the experience so that we can open our door a bit wider for more guests. And when you think about what we're trying to do, it really is, again, about listening to what the guests ask for, and examples of what the guests ask for are things like spaces that feel brighter, that feel less cluttered, more booth seating, more seating options, so our guests are more comfortable while they're dining with us.
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together in once every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list? Oh, really? So because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So they're doing everything for our guests and our team members. Julie Masino, it's wonderful to have you here.
Well, yeah, okay, nice to be here. Yeah, we're doing everything. You notice that first when her voice goes up, like when certain liberals talk, their voice goes up at the end of the sentence. It goes up. Play the beginning of that one more time. Her voice keeps going up at the end of the sentence. Just love when that happens. Evolution with intention.
Very transparent about our goal of making our stores feel brighter and even more welcoming than they already are.
They already are. Feel brighter. Okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, let's go to cut 13. There was a big discussion on CNN between Terry Morin and Andrea Berman on, of all things, Cracker Barrel. And this was part of that discussion.
Basically saying that we're going to be overtly progressive in our posture.
That's a corporate decision that they are allowed to make. If people don't want to go eat there, they don't have to. But to attack the company, to do this cancel culture thing is I thought the right opposed cancel culture. I thought they oppose all of these this company because it's too woke and they want to cancel the good.
Can you believe all of this? Because this restaurant wants to just change the way that they look and change their logo? I'm flummoxed, frankly. But again, I'm not a Cracker Barrel guy. Anyway, we'll leave you with this review from a Black Talker on a Cracker Barrel changes. We played it earlier in the week. I found it amusing. We'll head to a break after that and hopefully grab some of your calls. Here we go.
In the head. If I don't feel like I'm on a set of sinners, then how do I know I'm in a Cracker Barrel? This is a gentrified Cracker Barrel. They done took all the character out of it, and I know the edges of the pancake ain't burnt. I gotta feel like somebody wants to say, "Good morning, boy," when I go in, with respect. And no respect at all. I feel like they want me to work there, but they don't want to pay me ever, and I've got to live there. That's Cracker Barrel's thing. You take it away, what is it? A Denny's, IHOP? A place I
do that. Hey, I asked the guys yesterday Kelvin, and you weren't here, so of course I'm going to ask you today. Have you ever eaten at Sambo's?
No.
You've never eaten at Sambo's?
Never had a meal there.
Have you ever eaten at Denny's?
I've been to IHOP.
Have you ever eaten at Denny's?
No.
So you haven't eaten at Sambo's then?
No.
Because Denny's was Sambo's.
Oh, wow.
UTC, you didn't know.
Did not know
They
that.
used to have this picture of this black guy, like the cartoonish, like, image thing of Sambo. It was a real thing at Sambo's.
What a rebrand.
Yeah, and then they rebranded to Denny's. Nobody got upset with that, so why are they getting upset with Cracker Barrel?
Well, my generation knows Denny's from the viral video where the rock band is playing at Denny's, and they say, "What's up, Denny's?"
Okay, so what's up, Sambo's? See, you learn something all the time. 1963, tomorrow's the anniversary, when Stevie Wonder became the first artist to ever score a U.S. album and a number one U.S. single, number one album, number one single in the same week. It was 1963. The album charted Little Stevie Wonder, the 12-year-old genius, and this was 12-year-old Stevie Wonder, Fingertips, Part 2, the first also live record to go number one. Stevie Wonder, little Stevie Wonder back then. Drummer for this, Marvin Gaye.
The James Golden Show.
Bo Snerdley here for Colonial Metals Group. They nailed every call on gold's explosive rally, beating the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and even Bitcoin. And now they're warning the next surge is already underway. Tensions from Washington to Beijing to the Middle East are driving it. Get their free gold guide now at freegoldguide.com/Bo or call 800-941-0498. That's 800-941-0498. Learn how to move your savings into physical gold. 100% tax-free. freegoldguide.com/Bo.
What if the future of finance wasn't built around averages, but around you? At Abacus Global Management, we're reshaping financial planning around the most personal data point, your lifespan. But it's more than just insight, it's control. As a technology-driven asset manager, we're empowering investors with an integrated system to take command of your time, your future, your financial destiny. This is a new era of investing. Take control at abacusgm.com.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today. at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Jimmy Jameson of Survivor was born this day in 1951. Happy birthday, Heavenly, for Jimmy Jameson. He passed away. He was only 63 years old in Memphis from a heart attack back in 2014. But he is the voice and co-writer of this, Eye of the Tiger. James Golden and Snerdley with you. Coming up in the next hour, Princess Di will be here. And, of course, America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock. Quickly, I want to get to John in New York. John, thank you for being so patient and holding on. What's on your mind this morning?
Hi, Bo. It's a pleasure to speak with you on the slavery thing. I'm Italian-American, and my grandmother and her brother were slaves. Her parents, my great-grandparents, were in Naples, and they sent my grandmother and her brother to Colombia to work on a coffee plantation. And when they got there, they were told, hey, we're giving you a place to live and food. You aren't getting no money. And they were dependent on the money and sending it back to Naples to help the family. So they were forced into slavery. And then one day, my grandmother worked in the house, and her brother worked in the field. And one day, when nobody was home, my grandmother let her brother in the house, and he stole their jewelry. And that's how they got the money finally to get back to Italy and out of Colombia. So my point is, you can't look at somebody and know whether there was slavery in their family or not. You can't tell by the color of their skin or any of that. So
I've made the point, by the way, slavery was not a new institution when America's, but what was different about it, what was different during the age is that we're talking about was this was chattel slavery. And chattel slavery was a whole lot more complex in terms of stripping people of their culture, their religion, their language, everything about them where there was no connection. And that was a departure. But all of that said, well, the reason we entered this discussion was because of the furor over Donald Trump's remarks, which were basically, folks, let's talk about in our museums and our culture and celebrate the goodness of America without putting the sole emphasis on the negative history. And that has caused an uproar, as everything Donald Trump says. Anyway, our number duo. Thank you, John, for the call. What an interesting story. Our number duo's in the can. Our number trio coming up. Our number trio, Princess Di will be here. Our number trio, America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock will be here. Our number trio, your calls at 800-848-9222. So whatever you do, keep it here and do not go away.
The James Golden Show is on the air with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Our number trio has arrived. And most weeks when our trio arrives, we are very pleased to bring you, ladies and gentlemen, Her Highness. She is the princess of everything good. The princess of policy, her royal nestness, her royal goodness. All of it wrapped up in one beautiful, I might add, package. Our very own Princess Diana. How are you, Your Highness?
Oh, Sir James, it's so wonderful to hear your voice, as always.
Well, thank you. This week, what a week this has been. Before we start talking about some of the things you mentioned, I just have to ask you, little Ebonics there, I have to ask you a question.
Okay.
Arnie Duncan, you remember him?
Yes, you reminded me of him when you spoke of him earlier.
This notion. Now, Arnie Duncan they've been working to reduce gun violence and all this stuff, but the very idea that Trump is doing something wrong here by cleaning up violence, the headline of Arnie Duncan's piece, Trump's crackdown will make crime worse. So, cracking down on criminals, I have so many sound bites here in the Russ I can play for you from people that are D.C. people, a lot of them black people, by the way, because, D.C., chocolate city, a lot of the residents of D.C., besides the political class that, to use an Al Sharpton word, interlopes in D.C. when they all go home. A lot of the people that live in D.C., minorities, right? And a lot of them are happy. Finally, somebody's addressing the crime problem. So Arnie Duncan says in just a few months, Trump has managed to put at risk years of hard work underway in cities across America to bring down crime. I went through because I always hear Gavin Newsom talk about this. There's more crime in red states. There's more crime in red states. So I actually went through and looked at it. And if you start looking at states, well, some of the red states do have higher crime rates. But you know why? The blue cities. The blue cities. The Democrat-run cities in red states are a haven for criminals. Every city the Democrats run is practically overrun with crime. So I look at all this. What is your take on what's going on in Washington, D.C., the crackdown on crime? And it has shown no homicides in a complete week. A lot of people are astounded that this happened in Washington, D.C. Not one homicide reported, and instead of celebrating it, they seem to be unhappy.
Well, that is par for the course because, Democrats cannot admit that their governance of cities or states is a problem. And, it has gotten to the point where it is unavoidable that everyone sees that Democrat policies and Democrat-run areas cause a mess and collapse. And I, too, have been seeing these sort of selfie videos of African Americans who live in D.C. basically in wonderment at how fantastic. I saw one driver who was driving along the street and videoing what he saw.
I saw this.
There's not one scrap of paper. There's no litter. And he was just amazed. I saw one African American filling his gas tank and just saying, I would never have stopped here. My brother-in-law was carjacked at this gas station, and I feel safe. And a woman who came out of Union Station, African American, just in wonderment, said she had been walking around enjoying the architecture of Union Station, whereas before she would just head down and the screaming people, she would run the gauntlet of the homeless and the dangerous. And so she was able to just enjoy her city. I, too, have seen this. And, of course, the left, who are elitist and who are not touched in general by the crime and the mess their policies cause, are pretending, by their rigged statistics, that what Donald Trump is doing is the problem, when he is, in fact, creating an environment for normal law-abiding people, which is the vast majority of people who live there.
Wow. Yes, it is. Now, by the way, I have that woman that you talked about in Union Station. We can't play it all today because she went on for 4 minutes. 4 minutes about how great it was in Union Station. She's finally able to actually, and by the way, I've been in Union Station. And I've been and looked at the last time I was in Union Station, I could not believe you had to fight through the odors. You had to fight through the homeless that just camped there outside, the circular outside. The other part of it was a homeless encampment. And we're talking about minutes away from the White House. We're talking about the iconic Union Station. It was a disaster area. And then when you went in the place, it was dirty. A lot of the shops that used to be open there were not. It's insane. And so it's being cleaned up. And you have people like Arnie Duncan. You have people like these broadcasters. You have people like Dana Bash. The most violent thing in the city was January 6th. January 6th. What planet? Anyway, you wanted to discuss some things. Let us discuss what you wanted to discuss, Princess Di.
Well, I love discussing this. This is all part of it. And, one of the things that I wanted to mention was a memo that came out yesterday from a left-leaning group called Third Way. And the title of the memo was, All Who Wish to Stop Donald Trump and MAGA. And here's how they want to stop Donald Trump and MAGA. They want to change the words that Democrats use, which are a problem. They don't think the Democrat policies are a problem. And they say in their memo, most Democrats do not run on or govern on wildly out-of-touch social positions. But it's just the way they talk. And so this group, the Third Way, has advocated avoiding 45 different words, one of which is birthing person, which means mother, or pregnant people, by which they mean pregnant women, and things like cisgender and heteronormative and privilege and microaggression and body shaming. And one of the things that they say is avoid using terms like justice-involved individuals and involuntary confinement. They cannot, on the left, have not been able to actually name crime, talk about crime in actual words that people use. And so this group, Third Way, is saying this is a problem. They noticed that one of the most effective advertisements in the 2024 election was the one with the tagline that Trump ran, Kamala is for they, them, President Trump is for you. And so in a nutshell, that explained why the left cannot connect with ordinary people because they're into their pronouns and into you can't talk that way, the political correctness. And Donald Trump has been running against political correctness effectively since he came on the scene. That was one of his issues in the 2015-2016 campaign. He won on that. He basically said, we're going to say Merry Christmas. We're not going to speak in this, language of censorship anymore. And that has become a genuine problem for the left. In fact, yesterday, the Homeland Security put out a tweet, basically said, undocumented immigrant is the immigration equivalent of they, them. DHS has no interest in the left open borders pronoun. And so they're saying that we're going to use the term illegal alien because that's the legal term. So the left is being called on, and very effectively, by conservatives, by the Trump team, and by the regular Americans. The left is losing the battle. And in fact, the New York Times this week came out with the title of the article, The Democrat Party Faces a Voter Registration Crisis. The party is bleeding support beyond the ballot box. According to registration, there has been an over 4 million vote swing where registration has gone from Democrats losing over 2 million and Republicans gaining over 2 million registered voters. So that this is the memo that is explaining the reason. And they're coming out saying, oh, don't change your policies, Democrats. It's just because you're talking about it wrong. And I do hope they try this because they can't change their language. They have to talk about it the way they're talking about it because their language reflects their true belief system. They literally do not believe crime should be illegal. This is, you can see in every single governed policy by the left that they minimize. It used to be called soft on crime. They do not punish crime at all in these blue cities and blue states. And so we're seeing the results. Regular people not only don't respond well to the way the left talks about the problems, they don't respond at all well to the way the left governs. And that is a wonderful, wonderful understanding among American people of how dangerous the left is and why they should never hold the levers of power again.
Wow. All right, we're going to go to a break early because I want you to talk about James Comey. I wanted you to but I also have some sound bites for you to listen to. And one of them in particular goes right to the heart of the matter that you just discussed. So, Princess Di, keep it right here. Stay right here, folks. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. So, who's this, Carl? Who is this, Kelvin?
The one and only Mariah Carey.
Oh, yeah. This was the anniversary, tough week for Mariah, as I recall, right? Yeah. Mariah Carey, this is the anniversary of the week that she lost, by the way, not only her mom, but her sister on the same day. Yeah, very, very tragic. Still with us, Mariah Carey, James Golden, Snerdley with you. Don't go away. Keep it right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Tomorrow's the anniversary of Charlie Watts passing away. Of course, Charlie Watts, drummer with the Stones for 58 years. Charlie Watts got his start as a graphic artist. That's what he had trained for. But he developed an interest in jazz. Joined the band Blues Incorporated, was playing drums in London's R&B clubs. And that's where he met Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Brian Jones. In 1963, he left Blues Incorporated, joined the Stones. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. Princess Diana is in the house with us. Your Highness. The Trump-Kennedy censure. Boy, I so hope that happens. The outrage, I just couldn't wear. Anyway.
He plays with them. It's so fun.
He just does. You can see you see that the steam coming out of their ears when they hear that kind of thing. Now, you sent me something with Comey. What is this?
Well, I would love for you to play it if you have a quick sound bite. Can you play it?
We can play. James Comey.
Speak about Donald Trump's tendency to radicalize me. He's so dangerous and does so many lawless, mean, and just stupid things that thoughtful people have a tendency to react negatively to anything that relates to him. And I guess I shouldn't say people, because I can't speak for you, but I do. His behavior has earned him in my life a presumption of badness. And that's okay to a point. He earned it after all. But in a way, it's also his superpower to prevent me from being what I really want to be, which is a thoughtful person.
This is the best. This is the best, in a nutshell, description of what has happened to the left. I mean, James Comey says basically, I can't be myself because Trump is so bad, and it causes me to be the person I don't want to be. I mean, this is the best representation, self-own, that Trump is living rent-free in his head and so many others' head. I mean, this is the kind of thing that, you know, he does not even realize, I don't think, how embarrassing this is. And what an admission this is. He's saying, I cannot be sane anymore because Trump is doing things I don't agree with. And I can't be a thoughtful person. It's just it's like a chemical reaction. The entire left has transformed itself into being basically just reactive to Trump. They have no advancement of any ideas whatsoever. Everything is which is why, as we talked about last week, Trump basically, by cleaning up American cities and starting with D.C., has caused the left to embrace criminality and crime and disorder. It is just the most amazing thing, and I think that hearing Comey put it that way explains their insanity. They cannot think beyond whatever Trump is doing. They have to react negatively to, and it's put them in a terrible position politically.
Wow. Well, I wanted to play Joe Scarborough for you. Remember when Joe Scarborough was a conservative Republican?
Yes. Many decades ago.
Many decades ago, that's right. I met Joe Scarborough on a few occasions when he was a young congressman, and we had anyway. Joe Scarborough, cut 21, Kelvin. This was Joe Scarborough on his PMS NBC show ranting earlier this week.
Breathing into a paper bag. I'm trying to calm down a little bit. John just quoted a remarkable stat out of the New York Times that in the 30 states where they track voter registration over the past 4 years, Democrats have lost to Republicans in every single state. Why?
So this is the $24 million question, right? Why are Democrats not... why are the polls bad? Why are they not breaking through? And I think it's a couple things. I think one is the people who are breaking through are brave, right? They talk like humans. They make the case, and again, it's like Pritzker's chief of staff told me. It's not necessarily left versus center. It's fight versus cave. And the people who fight get support. And the people who cave or are mealy-mouthed or are, very sort of corporatist-y, that crew, the crew that's afraid, cannot break through, does not appeal to voters. The question is, it's only going to be for people who really feel authentic, right?
Sherrod's never been afraid of his shadow.
Exactly.
He's always spoken his mind.
Chris Murphy, Sherrod Brown, Mondami, these people, AOC, they're not all exactly the same politically, but they are the same in the fact that they're brave and they break through.
Okay. This goes, Diana, he's going on and on. He goes on and on and on. He's chastising his... Really?
I mean, we just lived through the Biden years. I didn't hear him go ranting crazily about the affordability crisis under Biden, which, of course, is the reason that now Trump is in the White House, one of the main reasons. So, yeah, craziness is going to crazy, and that's what the left is. And, this is a wonderful thing because we can all make progress together, and Trump can solve all the problems that he's solving with them being crazy over there.
Well, I just want you to hold on to, because I got a few more sound bites I want you to listen to.
Okay.
So, Princess Diana is here, ladies and gentlemen. You stay right there where you are. 800-848-9222, by the way, is our number. America's Small Caffeinated Mom also coming up. So, keep it right here. Our number trio, well underway. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, in the house. Good morning, Rhonda. How are you?
Good morning, James. Well, I am happy to report that I am, in fact, the smallest and the most caffeinated mom in America. I love it when I meet my goals.
Love it, love it, love it. So, Rhonda, what is on your mind? What do you have for us this week?
Well, today's story comes straight from my front yard, where in the front of our house we have a whole row of beautiful, towering evergreens that just go right across the front of our house. Yes, beautiful. Well, just recently we noticed that one of them had turned completely brown. I mean, just almost overnight. What is happening? We couldn't figure out what was going on. So we actually, thankfully, we have a neighbor who works at a local extension office. So she came over and looked at the tree, and what looked exactly like tiny little pine cones all over that tree and the one beside it was actually bagworms. They were all over that tree, and they had turned it completely brown. I was so distressed because the green is always a sign of life, and it's beautiful. And to see a tree that had just been green, a month ago, to just be it looked dead, was so distressing to me. Well, she looked at it, and she said, it's too late to spray. What you have to do is pluck all of those pods off of the tree, drop them in a bucket of soapy water to kill them so that they can't hatch into moths, which are going to lay thousands of more eggs, and next spring you'll have a mess. She also looked at the bark on the trunk of the tree, and she found green. So she said, next spring, this tree will green up again. It isn't dead. We were so happy to hear that, but of course our sons were not so happy with the job they were tasked with, and that meant they were out in the sun up on ladders for hours the next couple of days, plucking hundreds, if not thousands, of pods off of those trees and dropping them in buckets of soapy water. And of course, as those things died, they began to smell. It was the stench of death. This is not a very pretty story, but it's an important one because in the days since that, I've been thinking about what those bagworms teach us. The first thing is that appearances can be deceiving. I looked at those, and up close, they looked like little pine cones, but they mask an invader who would eventually destroy the tree. So I thought about that. We have to live life with wisdom and with discernment, because what appears to be harmless and benign may, in fact, be devastating. Our first and greatest protectant is to be rooted and grounded in truth, and there is a source of absolute truth, and we can know it. That capital T truth is our North Star, it's our guiding light, and it will keep us from destruction. Half of a lie is still a lie, and half of a truth is still a lie. And if you don't know the difference, you will suffer consequences by what you allow in your life. So whether it's what we believe, not every philosophy is good. There's so much in the public arena, so much in the public square that sounds good on the face of it, justice, equality, all of that. But if you really look below the surface, there's something rotten. And you have to have eyes that see. Not every cause that is popular is virtuous. As you know, evil can masquerade as good, and darkness can cloak itself for a while, but eventually it will be revealed. When the light shines on it, the truth will come out. The same is true, James, and I have learned this the hard way, of people that we trust. Not everyone is trustworthy. Not everyone is worthy of our trust and should be trusted or followed. It really matters who we listen to, who we give our ears, our hearts, and our minds to. Not everybody, and again, I have learned this through experience, who appears to be of good character is. It takes time to discern whether a person ought to be trusted or not. And it is just simply true that the people in our inner circle have a great amount of influence over us, whether it's our friends, our business partners, just other people that we become closely connected to. It's important to judge this rightly, and I'm tired of people using "don't judge" as a club. There is a wrong way to judge that is done in condemnation, but there is a very right and essential and necessary way of judging that keeps you alive, that keeps you walking free, that keeps you out of trouble. For instance, let's put it like this. You are not going to knowingly place yourself in the hands of a disreputable, unqualified surgeon. You are going to compare and do your research and decide for yourself. You are going to judge whether this is the right surgeon for you or not. That is only wise. And it is that kind of judgment that we must bring to our relationships. It's so important. The people who are close to us will bring either life or death to us. And if the more gradually it comes, the harder it is to catch. We have to take responsibility. We have to check our own branches, and that's where periodic self-reflection is important, because we can have these little hanging pods of death, the habits that we foster, the patterns, the little things that we do that are not serving us well. For instance, are we holding bitterness or resentment? Tiny pods that spring from true injustice. They are there for a reason. Something bad did happen. You were wronged, but bitterness and resentment begin to appear, and they look just like a little pine cone. If you don't catch that and nip it in the bud, that can transfer. It becomes rancid and becomes a moth that will lay more awful eggs. And the key is forgiveness. Forgiveness will get rid of those pods. And I want to say here that forgiveness does not equal forgetting. Number one, it isn't possible to forget the things that have happened. It isn't reasonable to expect ourselves to forget, or anyone else to forget, what has happened. And number two, it isn't actually always wise to forget what has happened. Because if you forget what has happened to you, you are forgetting erasing a part of your story that has made you who you are. And if you erase that part of you, how can you help someone else who comes along behind you who is dealing with the same hard things? I am who I am because of the hard things that happened to me. And it took a long time, but I came to forgiveness, and I chose to remember and forgive at the same time. And that is why I now carry the deep medicine, I like to think of it that way, the deep medicine that can help other people who come along behind me and are traveling the same path. A friend told me once, your story is a survival guide, in her Boston accent, a survival guide for other people. Your story is a survival guide for other people. It is good and wise to forgive and remember and keep those pods plucked off that are stealing the green from your life. Now, if you feel like you are in that place of utter decimation, you are overwhelmed with your vices or your addictions, just your negative attitudes, here's the hope in this whole story. As long as you're alive, you have time to change. There is still green along your trunk. As long as you're alive, there is still a trace of green, and you can begin right now to change and to move over into life, into green, the kind of green that brings beauty to the piece of the world that you're in, that gives shade to the people who are around you. There is time, but you must start today. Don't wait. Don't wait. Change that leads to life, and the greening of your branches is so worth it. It's so worth it, James. I do know.
Wow. That is beautiful. And Rhonda, I had never heard, by the way, where you started with these bagworms. What an incredible story. And apparently you didn't know either until someone who actually knew about these things could identify them correctly, and thank goodness, and help you save this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
what an incredible story.
Yeah, it's so important to have people in our lives who can tell us the truth.
Absolutely. And you're one of those in our lives, Rhonda. Rhonda, where can people find you?
RhondaSchrock.com and thedailybs.com.
Rhonda, thank you so much.
My pleasure, James.
Always nice to leave us with beautiful inspiration, and that's what Rhonda brings to this program every week. We so love her. Thank you, Rhonda. James Golden, Snerdley here. The 3 hours, hour number trio is getting ready to go into the can already. So, may God bless and protect each and every single one of you, my friends, your family, your loved ones. Love and gratitude always for your being here and allowing me to be with you. A special shout out to Kelvin. Folks, you have no idea how complicated it is what Kelvin does. And today, Kelvin was doing it solo and did a masterful job of it. We love you, Kelvin. Thank you for all your work. Thank you. And to the crew, God bless you all, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.